And we've got some amazing women on this panel who will give you some of their insight. So I want to briefly introduce some of the women that we have here. But shouldn't I introduce myself because I'm your friend, so we need to know who we're talking to. My name is Bianca. I am the owner of a Creative Station, which is a marketing agency. I also do hosting and blogging, so I'm excited to have you guys here with us today at Key Life Fitness. We're excited to have this event. Have you guys been having fun today? Okay, that was the energy for like me just not even prompting you, so we're gonna try again. You guys did a really good job, because usually I'm like, but you guys did good, but we're gonna do it again, because women's health is so important, and you are important, right? A lot of us have the I Am Enough shirt on. So I want you to give it up for yourselves, because you worked out, you came out, you're eating right, you're doing all the things today, and you're educating yourself on how to be better. So did you guys have fun today? Yes, love it. All right, to the left of me, we have Miss Lesline, our in-house yoga instructor. So if you guys have time, please stay for yoga after this. But Lesline is a passionate and experienced registered nurse, which I did not know. Yes, I love that for you. who has dedicated her career to helping new moms combat burnout, because we know that burnout. I don't know, I don't have kids, but you know, I feel y'all. And reclaim their wellness. So everybody give it up for Miss Leslie. Right next to her, we have Miss Shannon Rollins. She is a certified, look, she has a very good title, listen to this. She is a certified clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist with a full-time practice in Lake Nona. And she has worked in the health and wellness field for over 10 years. Give it up to Miss Shannon Rollins. And then right next to her, we have Dr. Nicole Palmer. Nicole Palmer, along with her husband Tim and daughter Natalie, have relocated to the area in 2020. I moved at the same time, girl. We moved at the same time. Dr. Palmer has practiced in Indiana since 2009. And in private practice, pain management, and large group practice. Miss Dr. Nicole Palmer is a chiropractor here in town, and she has a local practice, so you guys should go and visit if you need that back. More than back, she told me the other day, she does more than back stuff. So like, give it up for Dr. Palmer, you guys. And then we have, to the right next to Dr. Palmer, we have Rachel Helinski. Yes! A certified holistic nutritionist and meditation teacher. We love that. She believes in embodying your own empowerment, connecting with your authentic self, your real inner truth of who you are, and when the labels are taken away. Give it up! Yes! Okay, listen. We love a good mom. Okay, give it up for the mothers in the room. Yes! She said, come hella high water, I'm coming to this panel. I love it. Well, it's my entourage. Listen, you guys remember the built-in entourage. We love that. Listen, we love that. Okay, we have coming in Dr. Larisha Ferdinand. She is a board-certified OBGYN, integrative gynecologist, menopause health expert, and the owner and founder of Estrogen Doctor Company Consulting Services, and the upcoming Thrive Beyond Wellness Center in Orlando, Florida. Give it up for Dr. Larisha. And on the end, we got a straggler. We don't know who she is. Might kick her out. Just playing, you guys. We have the owner of Key Life Fitness. I don't know why it's giving stringy sounds, but it's not like that. Hello? Not like that. That sounds like clever. All right, Bridget Joy Jackson. She is the owner of Key Life Fitness and Training here in St. Cloud. She has been working over 12 years in the health industry. She's a personal trainer, group exercise instructor, wellness coach, athletic trainer, and certified instructor. She's got all the titles. Give it up for Mrs. Bridget Joy Jackson. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, guys. It's time to have real talk. So, we are all here to talk about women's health, and so I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions, and at the end we'll have an open floor for you guys to ask all of our practitioners some questions if you guys have any pressing things that you guys want to address, right? So one of the things that I want to ask, and I will pass the mic, she also has one, but I'm going to go ahead and just open the floor so whoever wants to answer this first question. What can women do to improve the education and awareness around women's health issues, particularly in underserved populations? Anybody interested in? Particularly in underserved populations.
I'm sorry.
That's all good. Hold on. I can't hobble over it. I'm sorry.
Okay, if I was multitasking correctly, the question in summary was, what can women do
to improve education and awareness?
And to improve education awareness, especially, I'm gonna put in general, because I totally believe, no matter what my premise is, the more women put in the factor of their health and wellness, then that impacts all life cycles. If you think about it, a woman is a part of the beginning of a life cycle and all the way to the end, right? Because we're the reproductive species. So I think the biggest thing, no matter what, is awareness. Most of the time, we know when things aren't feeling right. We know when things are off. We know when things aren't normal. I want you to be not only your best self-advocate, but be totally aware that you're in control of taking that next best step for yourself. And don't settle for normal, mediocre. Your goal should be optimal. I'm not feeling right. I know my labs could be normal, but something's still off. I don't get it. It's time to go to the next step. Because as far as I'm concerned, generations are what impacts most of all when women get affected. That's from mental health, physical health, and emotional. And to me, that's not only for underrepresented populations, that's for women in general. Don't count yourself short. Listen to your body, listen to yourself, and be your own best self.
I love that. Awesome. So, Leslie, she's like, me? Yes. What role does exercise play in promoting women's health and well-being? And what are some effective strategies for incorporating physical activity into our daily lives?
Yeah, exercise, I feel like the word itself, I like to just change that to movement and moving my body, choosing to move my body every single day. So going back to what you're saying with listening to myself, listening to what do I need to, how am I gonna move my body today? If that be taking a walk, during your lunch break, or doing yoga, like stretching your body, doing something. It doesn't have to always be this whole production, because I feel like with the word exercise, we think beach body and all of those things, which are great. Like those are, if you want to do that day, do it. But I think the hang up sometimes comes when it's like, well, I don't want to do beach body every single day, but you do need to move your body every single day, right? So just changing the word exercise to movement.
Can I jump in? Yes, of course.
Yeah, and backing up to what she's saying, when it comes to moving your body and the self-care, it's so tied to mental health and the way that you're feeling. Like, who's ever felt that after a workout? And the especially today. But when it comes to the movement, and like she said, it's also focusing on your abilities and what you can do. Because what women do especially is we compare ourselves to the person next to us in class. She can do a regular push-up and I can't do a regular push-up yet. And then the negative talk starts. Well, why am I even doing this anyways? And then it compounds to, maybe I'm just not gonna go tomorrow. I mean, I'm not seeing results yet. And so when you're focusing on what you can do and the abilities that you do have, any type of movement, it's you celebrating your body. So it's being able to change the language and the way that you look at exercise. I gotta be honest, I hate the word exercise too. because of that reason, it's so much pressure. And it's that end result, and it's how can I just feel better today? How can I focus on feeling good and using the word movement? I think it's huge for that.
I like that, I like that. We need to do movement every day, not exercise every day. Just move that body, ladies, please. So I want to ask Dr. Palmer, how do you think that women can take charge of their health and make a more informed decision about their care?
As far as taking charge, I mean, having open communication with any provider that you see is going to be key. If you are working with a doctor of any sort that won't take the time to sit down with you in private, to answer your questions, to read through your reports, I don't think they're the doctor for you. That's not the way that anybody should be treated. If you're in a place where you feel like a part of a assembly line, that doesn't have the patient's interests at heart. So if you have to speak up for yourself, you do have to be your own advocate, because the quicker that a lot of doctors can see you, the better for them and the worse for you. So ask the questions, make them take time for you. Don't put up with lackluster care, because there is much better stuff out there.
Say that last part again. Don't put up with lack.
Don't put up with lackluster care, because there is amazing physicians in this area. Amazing.
She dropped the mic on that one, right?
Anybody else want to chime in?
I think that I think that one of the biggest parts of life is really exploring yourself. And so there are so many amazing providers, you know, in and around us, and it's looking at that relationship as a team effort. And they're really there to educate and guide you, but it's your journey, and every part of your journey is going to be constantly changing, because you get older, you have new things going on in your life, maybe a new family, maybe a new job, maybe a new relationship. And so as your life changes, your needs change, whether that's with food, whether that's with certain relationships, whether that's, you know, how you're moving your body. Maybe at times you need more strength, maybe at times you need more, you know, cardio, maybe at times you just need to stretch and breathe. And so I think exploring yourself constantly is really an important part of the journey.
Thank you, Mike.
Nice, thank you, thank you. All right, so Dr. Larissa. Larissa.
Like Reese's Pieces.
Larissa. I like that, Larissa. Okay. That's a great name, that's good. Okay, so, you already have the mic, so I'm gonna address you.
Okay.
But this is a open panel question, because I think everybody has their own intake on this. How can women balance their own health needs with the demands of work, family, and other responsibilities?
This is definitely a loaded question, but a question that I'm glad that everybody gets a response to, because I think when you look at everything as a strategy, let me just put it in practical terms. When you go to work, you have a specific role or job, and whether it's full-time mom or et cetera, you may have a schedule of the day, right? And you may have to tweak it, you may have to deviate a little bit, you have to adjust. That's important, because whatever it is, what is your strategy? You have a game plan, then you try to focus on that most important thing. I mentioned something before about multitasking. Honestly, I don't really like that word. I think we wear it too much as a badge of honor, and it really shouldn't be. If you look at things as, what is the most important thing that I feel that I need to accomplish this day, this week, this month, that is one step ahead of trying not to do everything and anything for everybody. And one of the key tips that I can give a part of this strategy, because I like what you said, I think if you look at life as a journey, if you take it, you know, whether it's year by year, decade by decade, your body and your family is gonna have different needs. And it's specifically, even personally, my mother passed away 6 months ago, there were certain things that I decided to do, and one of those was to implement in that strategy boundaries. I could not, there's one thing that you don't remember, anything else. Norm was not optimal, and 2, set your boundaries and keep at them. Because if you are, just think of your boundaries as that contract with yourself. You don't break contracts with businesses, your employer, or anything like that. Understand there's a business of me, and I'm the CEO, right? So that is the contract you have with yourself. Reset those boundaries, okay? That's it.
That's awesome.
I love that. So as a CEO of your mind, body, and soul, I think it's really important to take one step at a time. You know, a lot of times we look at this big picture and we think like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna get there? It's gonna be so hard, it's gonna take forever. And I think like Shannon said earlier, like, you're not the CEO of the person next to you, so it doesn't matter like where they're at in their journey, you're the CEO of yourself. So one step at a time, you know, finding the needle in the haystack, that's going to move you forward to whatever your goal is for that day or for that season in your life. And really just taking one small step at a time. It is okay to be selfish. When you got up this morning, decided to come here, that was a choice that you made for yourself. But don't feel it as a negative that you are selfish. You are an example for your kids, for the people around you, that you make the best choices for you. You be that example. You choose yourself every day, every choice that you make. Continue to choose yourself, and you're only going to have the best outcomes. And it is okay. Let go of any guilt that you have in choosing yourself. And on the days that you don't choose it, let go of that guilt too. Because it's okay. Give yourself some grace when you can't do it all, when you can't get to a workout or you don't pick the best meal. Give yourself that grace too. You don't have to be perfect.
Yes, it's the human experience, right? Yeah, and from this standpoint too, our subconscious mind is very open from about 0 to 7, 0 to 10 years old. And in my work, I work primarily with the subconscious mind. And that's removing the blocks, those automatic thoughts, habits, behaviors, feelings, emotions. Why am I doing this? I know what to do. Why am I not doing it? And when it comes to the subconscious mind, our children are very great at observing every single thing that they do, and they're not very good at interpreting them. They see something happen and say, this is what I'm supposed to do now. They model behaviors. So when you are being selfish, you are modeling a wonderful behavior for your children to follow. To say, this is, you gave me the idea of what to say. And so when you're doing something and they're modeling that behavior, then they say, oh, we do an evening walk after dinner. Oh, this is a fun time to do an evening walk, or this is something that we can do. So when you're doing all these things and making these decisions, then you kind of rub off on the people around you. And there may be some people who push back and say, oh, Susie's going to the gym again. Well, yeah, that's how we take care of ourselves and our body, but it has such a domino effect with the people around you, and you're planting seeds. And then the seeds start to grow into trees. And the next thing you know, you have a group of people who all have the same values and beliefs, and you're aligning yourself right, all of you right here. So it makes a difference beyond just you.
That's so good. I was like probably really loud next to you, but really
It was
agree.
encouraging.
Okay, good.
I loved it.
Okay, good. No, because I just I have 2 little ones. I have almost 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and when it comes to balance, I tried it and like it didn't work. I don't know. It was like with me and balance, we got this weird relationship. But I will say like, I know, right? Like, growing up with my parents and seeing how my mom would spend a lot of time alone. I'll say that. She spent a lot of time by herself. She removed herself from, she got overwhelmed. She wouldn't say that, but I would notice her, go upstairs and just take a minute for herself. And now that I'm a mom, I find myself doing that, and I would have guilt about it. And then in therapy, I unpack that. But I say all that to say, our kids notice what we do, right? And then like my dad, he's very active. Always, you probably have seen my dad doing this, he's unicycling, he's always moving his body in some kind of way, yeah. And so seeing that as a kid, always being outside, like, it just rubbed off. And now here I am, like, a yoga teacher, and like, that's my passion, because it kind of was just like innate, like that's, if that makes any sense. But I say all to say, now that I'm a mom, I make sure to tell my kids, like, mommy's gonna, take a bath, and like, show them I'm taking the bath because I need a minute, I'm feeling a little stressed out. So just like explaining to your kids, no matter how old they are, they understand. Explain to kids what you're doing, because then, like I said with my mom, she'd go upstairs and kid brain, I was like, oh, she doesn't want to spend time with me. But now that I'm a mom, I'm like, oh, I get it. So now I'm, changing that little generational curse, whatever you want to call it, and being like, okay, I'm going to explain to my son and my daughter, you can see me, like, here, help me run the bath, and then I'm going to lock the door. So just giving them explanations, because their kid brain is just like, oh, mommy doesn't love me. That's where it really goes down to. It's like, not that I don't love you, I need to find some kind of balance right now.
Pass it to the trainer on the end of the building. We would like to know, Bridget, how can we balance our health needs and the demand of work and family and other responsibilities?
I think that understanding that it's a privilege, and knowing that your body obviously is designed to move, but knowing how amazing your body is and how blessed it is to move. Some people don't get that opportunity. And I like to always say to my clients, like, you have to change your words from I have to work out, or I must work out, to I get to. Because when you get to do something, it's a privilege, it becomes a joy for you. You might not like everything you do, but it enables that yes muscle to be like, okay, I did one thing today, tomorrow I'll do two. And I think being able to see things differently helps you to kind of balance life. Knowing that, like, you have a cup, they always say you can't pour from an empty cup, but again, if you have holes in your cup, which means like you can't focus, or you can't, walk up the stairs without breathing heavy, or you can't, you can't drink water, you have health conditions that you're not able to do what you were put on this earth to do, then you have holes in your cup, so you can't even pour because there's nothing to pour from, right? And so the main thing is being able to fill the holes, then fill it with water. And so to fill the holes, you have to have balance, to know that, okay, this is my schedule, this is my assigned appointment for myself. I know, okay, I'm gonna do my checkups, I'm gonna eat right, I'm gonna drink water because I wanna be here, because I have a reason and I have a purpose. So when you know that, and you know that you're so valuable, it makes it easier to manage and to know your worth. And so when you know that, you can be able to give to others. So as long as you grasp that, it helps you to balance a little bit better.
Wrap it up, girl. Okay. No, but what you're saying as far as like I get to work out, now that I got this lovely Black Boost 5000, I've been in the corner doing like limited workouts, and I see like everybody doing the things that I used to be able to do, and I feel some type of way. And like I never thought I would feel that way. So the fact that I don't get to do it, and now I have a different perspective, because I used to be able to jump on that box, but now I cannot jump, So I really do understand what you're saying. You get to do it. And so this will be one of the last general questions that I'll ask, because I do want to open the floor to everybody. We have different practitioners up here, so if you guys have any questions for them, I do want you guys to start thinking about that before we wrap things up. But one of the things I wanted to ask everybody on the panel is, in this society that we live in, right? Everything on social media gives us like instant gratification. The bodies are snatched on social, right? And even on the television or wherever you look, you see all of these different societal body images that people portray on us or people put on us. What I want to ask is, how can we cultivate a positive body image for ourselves and overcome societal pressures to, like, try to fit into their body standards? Yes, Shannon says she's ready to answer all of us.
Oh, I already know Shannon's ready. I think that, first of all, I like to not be on social media as much. Only because you see things, and although, and Shannon's probably gonna touch on this because we've talked about it, right? So although you're scrolling and you're like, okay, this doesn't affect me, it does, right? So being able to take breaks and understand, like, these people ain't real, okay? Their pictures are edited, their videos are edited, they put their best selves on the Instagram, right? Or on social media so that you can like the picture. That's the purpose of it. And so if in order to have self-image and balance, back to saying what these ladies said earlier, it's really about your journey in life. And so your goal should be to feel your optimal health, not just to look a certain way, right? So we don't just work out or exercise or eat right just to look right. We do that because we want to be able to live optimal. And so when we do that, the body automatically falls in line, and knowing that, again, you're here for a reason, and it's not just to look good, because you can look good and be dumb. Okay? You can also look good and not breathe right. So there's that. I tell people all the time, you can go get snatch waist, but if you can't breathe when you walk to this door, that's a problem, right? So again, it's really about being able to disconnect yourself and taking time away and not being able to, like, fully indulge into online and letting it affect you negatively, to know, like, and you're now comparing yourself, comparing your life, and like, oh my God, why did he propose like that? Oh my God, I want that car. I want this trip. I want to go to Dubai. Yeah, we all do.
I do. So if you got tickets, y'all want to bless me with
We all want to go, but we might not be on the desert with a wrap on your head like you're doing today. So at the end of the day, live your journey and plan your life based on where you are and where you want to go, but without comparing yourself to people on social media, because the picture is edited. Always remember that.
I could go all day, but we don't have all day for this. We are in hypnosis all day long. And what that means, if you don't know what that means, listen to a couple songs and you'll hear the word hypnotized, and probably a billion songs out there. You'll hear it now. And all it is a relaxed brainwave. When you're in hypnosis, you are taking in suggestions. Waking up in the morning, you're watching the news, negative suggestion. The world is a terrible place, right? The more you see things, the more you're going to look for those things. The more you see online the person with the perfect waist or whatever, the more you're going to see, well, mine isn't like that. And when we're in love, we are impressionable. We're impressionable with our appearance. And so every time you're hearing and seeing and feeling and noticing that repetition, then it's becoming more embedded, more embedded. I'm not enough, I'm not enough, I don't look like this, I don't look like this. And so being able, honestly, the best thing is what Bridget said, is taking a break. I mean, I was a bikini competitor in my 20s, and coming off of that was really hard mentally. That was before I went into this career, and that was one of the reasons why I went into this career. Because I started reverse dieting, and then I realized, oh my gosh, my waist is getting bigger, oh my gosh, and I was following on social media all these bikini competitors. I'm like, I don't look like that anymore. I gained 20 pounds, and it's like, yeah, you look normal. That's normal. Those lifestyles are not sustainable. It's ridiculous. And sorry, if someone wants to go into competing, that's fine for a time, but also noticing that that's not as joyful as you just feeling good where you are right now and celebrating your heart beating and the way your lungs work and the way your legs carry you and how you can carry a baby and how your skin can reform and heal when you have a cut. Like, our bodies are amazing vessels, and being able to celebrate what that is rather than comparing it to the look and what someone looks like. Because that person that you're seeing could be look great, and internally, their life isn't what you would want it to be. So always keep that in mind if you start getting in the comparison game.
Yeah.
I just think it's important for us to really look at ourselves as more than like a physical body, because it can be really easy to get locked up in social media or just in regular life with people that you see and compare yourselves. But at the end of the day, you are a soul. You have a spirit. You have a soul, and that's really like that is so much more than your outer shell, because your energy, like people feed off of your energy. You know, just like Bridget was saying, when you meet someone, they may be beautiful, male or female, and it's like, but once they start talking and once you start connecting with them, well, that beauty can go up or down. And it's really so much more than, you know, for women, I think I think we all can battle with, you know, finding something that we don't like about ourselves physically that we want to change or that we want to fix or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's our words that we say to ourselves, I am enough, right?
Yes.
It's what we, you know, remind ourselves of, like, it's who we are in our heart and our soul and our spirit, and our purpose in life, the love that we give, the models that we are for our family, for our children, and you all are probably way more role models than just to, you know, our little people in our lives. What you are saying or doing and representing can be impacting your peers and people around you. And social media, just like everything in life, has its pros and cons. Maybe there's something that you see when you're scrolling that you're inspired by, and that's wonderful. There's that. But it is really important to know that, like, these people, these things, these vacations, they're not like always 100%, you know, amazing. And what you see that's inspirational for one person may not work 100% for you. And, you know, when you bring up Dubai, it makes me think of, like, gosh, you see all these amazing vacations. And there's been times in, you know, my life where I've had more vacations and times in my life than when I haven't. And every time I do, yes, like, a vacation is great. It's never as amazing as it looks when you're seeing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And that's like, yes, traveling on an airplane is exhausting, and, you know, you get bloated or whatever, and there's so many amazing parts. What's really amazing about vacation, whether you're in Dubai or you're walking down the street in your own house, it's all in your mind, is picking up the beauty around you, hearing the birds chirp when you're in Mexico. Well, they chirp the same when you're, you know, taking a walk with your dog. But you don't pick it up because, you know, you're just in your regular day of, you know, your to-do list. And so the reality is that, you know, your soul is on a journey, and, you know, the more that you nourish your mind, body, and soul, your outside will flourish. And you are your own beautiful self. It just doesn't matter what the person next to you, their journey is their journey. And so you can journey together just knowing that there's no comparison. And nobody cares how flat your stomach is, and nobody cares how ripped your arms are. You do that for yourself, and that's it.
I can go in so many different tangents, but I'm gonna make sure this stays focused because she knows I can play on social media on more than one occasion. But it's something that plays a part, right? And just in case you don't know, Web3 is here, it's out, AI, all that. It's not going away anytime soon. So we do have to control our actions. So the first thing I wanted to start off by saying, and I'm gonna leave a couple of physician and medical related things too, that they totally make sense. To sit up here and say, you know, don't do it, and it's all, you know, just pictures of things, all of that is true, and everything, I agree with everything that everyone has said. Also in the back of my head, in COVID, two of the main industries, or two of the most successful industries, were the snack industry, did very well, as well as beauty, cosmetics, and procedures, all right? There are several factors that had driven those spikes, but these were industries that did very well in the pandemic. That told me a few things, but if anything, it drew me back to a book, and if you have an opportunity to read it or listen to it on Audible, and I'm so bad about remembering authors, but still, it's called The Four Agreements. Anybody ever heard of that, right? So, and I think this is a good time to bring that in, because one of the first agreements has to do with being impeccable with your words, and I think that's what anybody has alluded to up here. But the medical component of that is, all of us are dealing with some kind of ACE in our life right now. These are adverse childhood events, all right? And so whatever that impact was on you may affect what you would do even in your adult life. So don't cancel those things out. That could be a whole different panel of discussion, because ACEs are potentially traumatic events or things that were negative toward us. For example, for me, I'm from Louisiana. I'm a down south girl. I will tell you I'm a Louisiana girl till the day I die. I die for the boot. But at the same time, I grew up around a lot of colorism as an African American female, trying to educate myself, advance in the field, but colorism was part of it. For those that don't know, it's being lighter means one thing, darker is the next, going back to some slave mentalities, okay? So that was huge for me, and that's something I had to overcome myself, even as someone that is considered more fair or lighter skin. One of the second agreements has to do with don't take things personal. You know, there are many judgments that are already placed on people as a child, and they have a preformed agreement with themselves. And what that is, if someone's mad or angry, the first thing I start thinking about, like, okay, you're not mad at me, you're mad at something else. I don't know what it is, but it's not me. And try not to take it personal. But that was a journey, you know, touching on everything, like, because I would easily, like, okay, well, I didn't do anything, I just woke up this morning. So understand that there could be some ACEs or traumatic things that have preconceived the judgment in someone else's world that has tied into some issues that you may have, you know, with self-image, with colorism, with any of those type of things, all right? So a lot of those things have an imprint on us. The other, one of the agreements has to do with not taking things personal, being impeccable with your words, and doing the best in everything you do. So with that, that means that if you feel like, hey, I don't look like these people, or I'm trying to get this slim and I only lost 2 pounds in the next couple of weeks, like everyone said, that is your journey. And it may be a little different, and they're not showing certain things that they have done. And I always think it's interesting, if you ever notice a celebrity, it's like they have a baby and then all of a sudden they snap back, right? But if you really count the time, it's been months since they've loaded that next picture. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but that's one of the things you notice, right? Because it's that out of sight, out of mind, but they're already on top of mind by the time they come back out, right? So just understand there was still a process behind all of that, right? And I think that's important to interweave some of these concepts because that becomes something important. I don't know why I'm forgetting. Do you remember the fourth one? It's like I'm having a brain fart right now, and I don't like to have brain farts at all. But the bottom line is understand that there's certain things that we're dealing with even in our past, judgments that have been placed on us even from childhood, that we are revealing ourselves even in adulthood, and that affects how we receive information or receive things of a body image that may not be good enough for us or someone else. And that ends up being an impactful thing, and sometimes it's not as easy to say that just to turn it off, because at some point we are not being impeccable with our words. We're not feeling like we're good enough. We're taking things particularly personal, or feeling like we're not being the best that what we need to do. And the fourth one is, I just remember, don't assume.
Yeah.
All right? Don't assume. All right? Some people's actions may be because something totally different And so, I don't know if y'all ever do this, you've already made a story up in your mind before things already have happened, or you've had that 3 o'clock executive board meeting in the morning with yourself and all, you know, like, you know, oh, okay, I'm not talking to truth tellers in here, that's fine. The point is, it happens, and just be aware. So going back to one of the first things I said, being aware when those things happen and that they can happen, really opens the doors that sometimes it may not be easy, but understand these are psychological brain things that have been particular, like a circuit, and it's up to us to really deviate from that and create other responses. We call that in the medical term, because I gotta be a doctor up here, neuroplasticity. So you continue to form new connections, new routes, new ways, and that can be able to form this generational change that we're trying to make. Okay?
So we have room for just 2 questions because we have to get into the stretching and the meditating. So, does anybody in the audience have a question for anybody here? Nobody? You guys, I gave you time to think.
Wait, could they repeat like where their practice is?
Yes, we will
Yeah.
definitely have them do that, but nobody has like a question that they want to ask the practitioner? Okay, I got plenty on this. Okay, one of the questions that I did want to ask, because you guys are talking about mental health, right? And so one of the most important things, and let me find it because it was. Okay, this is not directly managing mental health, but like, well, actually, how do we address the stigma around mental health is what I wanted to ask. Oh, Shannon said me. And ensure that women feel comfortable seeking help, right? So not only that, but also like as practitioners, how can we like help women to be able to say, you know what, like there is hope, 100% something wrong. How do I approach my provider? How do I get over the mindset of like, I don't want to tell them everything, right? They ask me all these intake questions and no, I don't do that. You know, like how do we get over that stigma as well? Because that is a mental health thing as well. But Dr. Nicole, I'm going to address you first. She's like, no. But yes, I want to ask like, how do we get over that, and how can we make sure that we take the right steps to getting the right help?
Good question. It is a good question, and it's a hard question for me to answer because I'm not a mental health provider.
Well, just in
But I'm a
general, practitioner.
whole body
Yeah.
provider, right? And so chiropractic care does have an impact upon the whole body. And I see a lot of patients that have mental health issues. The bulk of my practice is referred from the VA. I work with people who are veterans of war, and we see PTSD, we see a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. There are oftentimes we have people visit and they can't participate in their care that day because they are just in no fit state to do it. And I think, it's like a first date when you get a new practitioner, you gotta put yourself out there. And you gotta hope that they're gonna receive you for who you are and accept and understand that. And like I said before, if they don't, at the door, you find somebody else, right? You don't have to stay. Even if you're referred from your primary, from the VA, from whoever, it's your choice, it's your care, you don't have to stay. But you do have to be honest. I can always tell when I'm having a conversation with the patient and they're not giving me the full story. So full disclosure, as much as we don't want to do it, you got to mentally prepare yourself to do it, because your primary, any provider that you see, they need all the information, right? If they're prescribing you, if they're recommending treatment, they need to know all the details. Otherwise, the risk is that they make you worse and not better, and nobody wants that. So psych yourself up for it and give all the gory details, please. And I promise I'll accept you for who you are.
Well, I think that it's really important to look at mental health in general. There's such a wide range of where any of us can fall into that category. And it could be, think that there's kind of, when I, for where I'm at in my place in life, where I look at it is two ways. One, not two ways, two different departments. One is going back to, this is your journey, your life, you're the CEO. So it's really important for you to, number one, always be honest with yourself on where you're at and why. And if you're not sitting in your truth 100%, you're not exploring yourself to understand your truth 100%, then you can't get to where you're capable of being. And so you have to be your number one advocate, like it's been said multiple times, and that is saying, okay, I'm not good right now. Like, I don't feel myself right now, or whatever, wherever you are in that line of your mental headspace, you have to start taking action, because you can have a provider, and there's wonderful providers up here and around you, but they're not going to fix you, they're going to help you, they're going to guide you, they're going to provide you tools, but you have to take those tools and you have to take action to, take those small steps to get to where you are at your best self. And so I think it's important for you to look at, the life as like you're the main character, and then you find the right providers around you to help you, to be on the journey with you, to guide you into those next steps that you feel most comfortable telling your truth to.
Actually, it's gonna be a good question, but.
I think that mental health is huge, but also coming from where I come from, mental health sometimes doesn't get recognized. And so, like she said, recognizing and being self-aware, but also surrounding yourself with people that can help you identify those things. Because sometimes if we grow up a certain way where it's just like, you don't need to go to counseling, or you don't need this, then you condition yourself to convince yourself that you're okay, that this is just a season. And sometimes those seasons, the fall leaves be falling, and they don't come back ever. So the real deal is being able to surround yourself sometimes, be around people that can help you recognize, like, hey, this is a call for help. Maybe you should talk to somebody. And that may not be your family, that may not be your sister, whoever that is for you. Whoever that is being able to have people to speak into your life so that you can be able to become self-aware if you're not as yet is important, because sometimes you can't do that yourself and you're not introspective as you think you are, because you convince yourself that you're okay and you really aren't.
I just wanted to, something I live by, which has been very helpful, is a statement I remember hearing from a preacher, but it's been in different contexts for different, I think, influencers or something. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And I think that's something that is a really good example of what you just said that I think is important. If you don't mind, I wanted to flip the question, because one of the most inspirational things that I even did myself was from a practitioner who just posted a tweet and said, what could we do better? So a lot of times I can assume what we can do better to address these things, but this is a great avenue for me to ask, what can we do better? I think we don't take enough of that opportunity to have that active dialogue. I can assume, I can, make up stories in my head, this is what I think, or what have you, but I'm very interested to, hear what can we do better with dealing with the mental health space and making sure we're asking the right questions or doing, the right things. Because one of the biggest things from a gynecologic world and the literature, it tells us that one of the biggest things that you can, wrong things you can say to a patient is relax. Which I was just like, oh God, I say that all the time. okay, got it. And then another one was knowing that the amount of anxiety for any patient going into a doctor's office for someone that may not even have a baseline could be double or triple, So I'm already dealing with some challenges already, So with that context, I would like to, can I flip the question out to the audience? Better. What are some things? Anybody want to answer?
I think one thing, I know Tia and I are like type A, strong personalities, work super hard to be where we're at, single moms, that kind of thing. Just if you walk into a provider or talk to somebody, what is your day? Because sometimes we're not comfortable talking about that because we take so much on. And we are out to prove ourselves continually, one being female, one of your ethnicity, whatever it is. What does your day look like? What does your week look like? And you go through it, and there's a lot that we go through the week. And what do you do about that stress or that anxiety that you feel, or those meetings that are coming up? Are you already planning them in your head? You know, when you ask something like that, I think it rephrases it to how are you doing? Because how are you doing could be like fine, good. But what does a typical day look like? What does your typical week look like? You know, get home, feed the kids, take the dogs out, then now I have to finish up with work, adding notes, see what's going on, oh, I have a conference call tomorrow, etc. You know, so it's never ending, so where's the time for me? And how do you make space for that? So just like, I think those simple questions can maybe put it in perspective to people who we go to seek help, because it's hard for us to recognize that we need it.
That's really thank you. That's a great answer. Anybody else?
Come on now, don't let me be all
That's really good. I think to Lauren's point, like, one of the things I always say that I've tried to do better with my friends, I've had some close friends who've lost loved ones. And so typically it's like you ask them how they're doing, are you okay? But it's like they aren't okay. They just lost someone. So I think a little different but similar to the practitioner piece is just, you know, I have this thing now, I ask how's the weather? So I ask them how's the weather and then let them tell me how they're feeling based on how, you know, we normally would do weather, right? It's kind of sunny today, it's partly cloudy today, that type of situation. I work in healthcare, but I work on more of the finance side. So I think from a practitioner standpoint, I can understand what she's saying.
Well, I'm a rep, so I'm
we're on the different type of stuff. But yeah, so I think like from a practitioner side, it's just more about taking the time that I know that you guys already have. I know you got a strict schedule, you know, templates and everything like that. But I think, you know, when we walk in, typically blood pressure is going to be up. We're already anxious about the visit when we get there, right? I don't know what Shane is going to ask me, what she's going to reveal, because you may see me, like he may see me. May see certain things, so yes, I think it's just continuing to be open. I'm sure, you know, you guys are great practitioners and the best at what you do, so I think just continue to kind of see people for where they are, and the question you may have asked one person in the room may be different from the other person in the room based on their body language and things like that, and just the way in which you ask them, so I can appreciate that.
I have something. So I think a good way for you guys to, and I don't know if you guys do this, but I have seen this in many practitioners that I've gone to, sometimes you don't explain the aftercare. Like, you tell us to do something, but you don't explain, like, how. You know, like, oh, well, you should take this medication or do this, or just like, I'm gonna prescribe you this and have a good day. And I'm like, okay, well, is there more things? Like, or is there anything? And then you go on Google, and Google's like, well, you should blah, 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 blah. So like, now you're like, okay, well, what should I really do? Like, I understand that now I have this thing, but is there anything in conjunction that I can do with just the the medication's great, or whatever the solution is at the end, but what else can I do to supplement, right? What can I do to make this a better experience for me as a patient, so that I'm not like trying to figure everything out on my own at the end?
Because they're not stressful.
That's it.
Because there's some that just work that way,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, and there's some that really work on a more personal level. And I think that, I bet if I came to you and I said, okay, this, and that, you would say, okay, there are 3 ways, multi-ways we can approach this.
Right. Yeah, give me an option.
But I think, it depends on who they're working for, what their schedule is, and what's important to them. You know, and I think it's important when you're looking for any kind of healthcare provider, find someone that's on the same page as you and is really looking for that end goal. Like, even if it's a day-by-day goal, or a month by month or year by year, like she was saying, I think that you have to meet someone there and let them know what your expectations are from the beginning. I always like to say, I always let people know what my expectations are, so then there's no middle ground. You know, I mean, I shouldn't be answering the question.
No, that was
I'm just
helpful.
saying, like, I
That was
fired
helpful.
my doctors because it wasn't a good match. So it's setting my expectations. Like we were saying earlier, like, do it for yourself, do it for me, find what's best for you. Not every doctor is going to be a good fit for you. And it's okay to go to them once and say, I don't know if this is a good fit, I'm not super comfortable, but I can find somebody else who's in that area. Ask your friends.
Yeah.
Who do you go to?
Who do
Who do you feel comfortable with? Who's really good? You know, and I think that goes a long way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you guys. Did you want to chime in? So you good, Shannon? Because I know you were
Yeah.
for the mental health
Well,
part.
I have a
Yeah.
ton of people who come to me and I'm their last resort. And it's because they waited too long to get help. Anxiety, depression. As an alternative mental health provider, I don't do traditional talk therapy. I help with going back to what she was talking about, the ACE, those initial events, reframing, healing from them, releasing anxiety, releasing the emotion attached to that, because it gets stored in the body, in the cells. Our body remembers and codes everything, everything. And so when it comes to a mental health standpoint, just do your own check-ins and check-ins with your friend every now and then and normalize therapy. And not every therapist is the right fit. One of you may come to me and say, she's nuts, I don't want to go with her. You know, whatever, it's fine. It's take what you like, leave what you don't. You're not for everyone, everyone's not for you, and pick the person who you know can help bridge whatever that gap is, because we are not meant to be life alone.
Yes.
I'll say, going with that, like it's a journey.
Yeah.
As you're going on your journey, your providers are gonna change. You don't have to marry the provider.
No, based on where you're at in life.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
you have a therapist, and then maybe a few months of working with a therapist, you outgrow the therapist. But you need to still, I would encourage everybody to be in therapy no matter who you are, right? No matter what you have gone through, therapy is similar to going to the primary care provider. It's the same. Like they're working on, mind, and then one's working on the body. So like, as you're evolving and changing, don't feel bad, like, dang, I've been with this therapist for a year, but if it feels